My dear brothers and sisters, I welcome you all to our Prashanti Kutiram campus of the S-VAYASA Yoga University, the only full-fledged yoga university in India, and we invite you all to this wonderful yoga university. I congratulate the organizers for organizing this beautiful international yoga symposium on yoga and mental health in Germany by the Shaktya. And I congratulate our Dr. Rajesh K. Mishra for making this so nice and wonderful. I have seen the various speakers of renown who are coming and making their presentations. As all of you know, after the wonderful speech of our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, the International Day of Yoga was accepted by all the countries in the world to say that we must have June 21st as the International Day of Yoga. And in his beautiful speech, he made it so clear that yoga is not merely a set of physical exercises or physical postures, but it is a science of holistic living. And it's a way of life. And based on the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, he brought out the four streams of yoga. Gnana Yoga, the path of intellect; Raja Yoga, the path of willpower; Bhakti Yoga, the path of emotions; Karma Yoga, the path of action. And what is the goal of yoga? The goal of yoga is perfection. What is that perfection? It's a state of infinite happiness, permanent infinite happiness. It is a state of permanent infinite health, the perfect health. It is a state of infinite knowledge and a state of infinite freedom and power. That is the most coveted goal of human existence. So Swami Vivekananda said, you can reach this by any of the four paths: Jnana Yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga. Among them, Patanjali was a great seer, 900 BC, according to Max Muller, who brought out the essential features of yoga according to the Raja Yoga or Patanjali Yoga. In the definition of yoga, he said, yoga is to gain mastery over the mind, he said. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is to gain mastery over the modifications of the mind, he said. In this mastery, there are two aspects. One is to shatter our laziness, lethargy, drowsiness, sleepiness, and sharpen your mind. Make the mind brilliant, sharp, intelligent, innovative, creative, faster mind. And that will increase the efficiency, one side. That is one part of the mastery. But then there is a second dimension of the mastery. That is calming down the mind, silencing the mind, tranquilizing the mind, and deeply silencing the mind without getting sleep, keeping yourself awake. So these are like two wings on which we all fly to raise ourselves from our normal level to become great, super, divine human being and reach the highest thing. So, unfortunately, in our entire education system, we have seen that we have developed only the first part effectively and faster. They made very brilliant. But the second part of the mastery over the mind has been grossly neglected. So there is a big imbalance that takes place, and that big imbalance is the root cause for all the psychological ill health, psychiatric challenges, and modern non-communicable diseases as asthma, diabetes, hypertension, heart problem, epilepsy, migraine, irritable bowel syndrome, cancer, and whatnot. So, to regain the mental health, to grow continuously towards a state of perfect mental health, what is to be done? We have to bring the balance between the two. One side, speeding up of the mind. Another is slowing down the mind. But slowing down the mind, calming down the mind, staying in a single thought is easily said than done. Therefore, Patanjali devised SOPs, systematic method to gain this mastery over the mind. He gave the techniques to gain mastery over the mind indirectly, that's called the Bahiranga Yoga, and to directly control the mind, that's called the Antaranga Yoga. Indirect and direct way of controlling the mind. If the mind is too haphazard, then you cannot control the mind directly. If you want to sit in meditation to gain mastery over the mind, control of the mind directly, it won't hear you. The mind wanders round and round and round. Or you get attracted by certain thoughts and you get lost in those thoughts. Or you get some creative ideas and get lost in creative ideas. And the mind doesn't come back to silence. Therefore, Patanjali said that we must use indirect ways to gain control and mastery over the mind. The 5 limbs he gave: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara. A set of do's and don'ts called Yama and Niyama, the foundations of yoga. Yogic postures, which is known all over the world as yoga. Yoga means yogasanas. That becomes so common. And therefore we say yoga and pranayama, yoga and meditation. It is something like saying science and physics, science and mathematics, in a sense. So we find that the asanas, then pranayama, the breathing techniques, the control over the senses, pratyahara. These are the ways by which you gain control and mastery over the mind, he said. Then the second dimension, that's called dharana, dhyana, samadhi. We are all familiar with concentration. We have been able to train ourselves in our education system by warding off the random mind, the haphazard mind, and bring the mind to a single subject. When you are all hearing me, you will see that your mind is fully in that phase of concentration. All the thoughts, all the multiple thoughts, variety of thoughts are all connected with one another. It becomes a chain of thoughts, unraveling the subject that you are hearing. That's where we have stopped. But Patanjali takes to the next step. From multiple thoughts come to a single thought. That's called dharana. Focus the mind on a single thought. Most of the rifle shooters and archeries, they all have to develop that intense concentration called focusing, called dharana, in which the mind is fixed on a single thought. Patanjali defined that as desha bandha chittasya dharana. You fix the mind on a single thought. It's something like focusing the light and put the paper and adjust the paper once. All the incident energy is going to get focused on a single thought. Therefore, it becomes very powerful. It can burn up even the paper, and therefore all inner wrong things can be burnt up. But you can't do that for a long time. If you do dharana or focusing for even 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you start getting headache here. Therefore, Patanjali says you have to go to the next step called dhyana. Dhyana is meditation. Dhyana is to stay in a single thought effortlessly. So, there is a single thought, there is effortlessness. Therefore, the breath slows down, all the activities start slowing down. And when you slow down, the normal tendency is we are going to go to sleep. No sleep, sir, said. Wakefulness. Then you start blossoming, you start expanding. So these are the 5 features of what we call dhyana. Single thought, effortlessness, slowness, expansiveness, and wakefulness. Then it is called a state of dhyana or meditation. A number of methods are available for meditation. Hundreds of meditation techniques are available. All these things hinge around these 5 features. When you stay there for longer and longer time, continuously, a state will come in which you go into what we call samadhi or super consciousness. What characterizes super consciousness is the absorption of the mind on a single thought. In all our activities, there are the trifold process going on. The seer, the seen, and the process of seeing. And when you are eating, you are there, the food that is eaten, and the process of eating. Even in meditation, dhyana, there is a trifold process. The meditator, the meditated, and the process of meditation. When the 3 things merge together, the meditator becomes one with the meditated. This is called as a state of samadhi, state of super consciousness. Then the mind jumps into a higher level of consciousness, higher, subtler layer of the mind. This type of phenomena is found in the physical world also. It's known as quantum jump. An electron is swirling around a nucleus continuously, and you introduce some external force into it, certain amount of energy. When it absorbs certain amount of energy, it can be measured. The quantum is known as h nu. Then the electron jumps from this orbit to a higher orbit. This is called quantum jump. Similarly, our limited area of working, limited confined level of consciousness jumps into the higher level, jumps into an expanded state of subtle mind. Result? You are very, very happy, and new knowledge emerges. Often extrasensory perception come up, and you say that this is what I want, and that is called samadhi. So the methodology to maintain the psychological health, the psychiatric well-being, moving towards psychiatric perfection, starts from this process of transformation of the mind and start going deeper and deeper. And so I hope all of you take up this thing and wish you all the best. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to join your conference. We are sending this record because often the internet goes here. That's the best way to do that. So thank you very much. Dhanyavad.